All right. Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Thursday, September 11th. It is 6:22 right now. We got market opening up in about 8 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and mark up liquidity over here. As you guys can see, we had CPI data come out over here at 5:30. The CPI data was good news, but you can see over here price got manipulated, of course. Price initially pushed up, spiked down to basically stop out all the people who chased the buys, and then it pushed right back up. So we got this huge range this morning. I'm gonna try to be a little more cautious today with my entry. I mean, I've been pretty cautious for the past couple of weeks, but I've been trying to catch that breakout as price continues to finally move in a direction. Obviously, you can see right here, this is kind of what we've been dealing with for the past couple of weeks. I've been speaking with a lot of other experienced traders or older traders that have been trading basically as long as I have. And a lot of people are seeing the same thing. They're having trouble getting entries or good setups or clean entries because the market's just not going anywhere. So I'm going to try to be a little more cautious with my entry for today. I mean, obviously, I want to take the orb or the breakout or whatever may come up, continuation. But the problem is like this whole like the market for this past month has not really been directional at all. So hopefully we'll get some direction today. If not, um, I'm gonna try to be as conservative as possible without missing any trades here. So, all right, we are at the daily time frame. We're gonna go down to the 8 hour. I'm hoping we start to get more direction. I keep saying this every week. I'm sounding like a broken record, of course, because we've all been waiting for the market here to move directional, but it just hasn't really been moving directional at all. I don't even care if it goes up or if it goes down. I would just like to see some actual direction. Like for example, my swing trades over here, like this hasn't come down far enough for it to get filled at all. So there hasn't really been a correction to the downside. I mean, price obviously has been pushing up forever. We're at the all-time highs. So it's about time for it to come down at least a little bit. Um, my daily outlook for the day is actually slightly bearish. So that, maybe today might be the first day that price comes down a bit, but I mean, who really knows? Today's Thursday. The news from CPI was positive. A lot of people are expecting it to be negative, but yeah, we'll see how market reacts to it. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening behind the scenes. Obviously, if you guys are here in the US, you guys saw the shooting that happened yesterday. A couple of shootings that happened yesterday actually here in the US. It's kind of crazy that, and we talk about this every year. Every time there's a school shooting or any type of random shooting, it's everyone's kind of numb to it because it happens so often. But obviously, that's going to be sending waves throughout the world, not just the U.S., but the world in general. Um, and if you might think it might not affect the market, but obviously it's going to affect the market one way or another. Because a lot of stuff that happens in the U.S., whether it be political, non-political, etc., everything gets affected to some extent. Whether it's a national event, international event, anything like that, because people have opinions and obviously opinions affect the market. So, guys, all right, good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, September 11th. It is 6:25. Also, today is September 11th. So, another thing to keep in mind, the date. So, looks like we've got everything marked up. I've marked up liquidity over here. Closest level of liquidity above is at 45,691. Closest level below is at 45,624. As you guys can see over here, we have a very strong bullish bias with regard to market structure. So obviously, I'm probably going to be looking for some buys here. Looking over here at the overall trend, it's currently bullish across the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute. You can see price is above the pivots. Trend meter is green. Pivots are angling to the upside. Looking over here on the higher time frames, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, everything here is also bullish, right? As you can see, price is above the pivots, the trend meter is green, and the pivots are angling up. So I'm probably going to be looking for some buys today. If you guys want to take a buy entry, I mean, obviously, I would aim for some buys here. The thing that you want to be careful for is that we're pretty close to the all-time high. I believe this might be the all-time high right here. Let me see if there's any more levels above. Actually, no, I take that back. The all-time high is up here. So we're not exactly at the all-time high, but we are getting close to it. It's about 179 points away. Um, for the news today regarding economic events, we have the CPI data consumer price index, which came out right here. As you guys can see, the consumer price index was positive. Also, the jobless data over here was also was negative. So negative jobless data, positive continuing jobless data, consumer price index is positive, and this is obviously conflicting news, but you can see over here price was heavily impacted by that. So price over here initially spiked up, or it spiked down initially. So basically, whoever traded the CPI news got basically screwed, right? Because you could have taken the sell here and you would have gotten screwed if your stop loss was too tight. It dropped 97 points. Then it pushed up 50 points, then it came back down again over here, it's 80 points, and then it came back up again, 63 points. So it was pretty much a back and forth move here with regard to the news. We'll see how the news, how market reacts to the news here. Momentum breakout looks like it's going to be a sell for the day. So if you guys want to take the momentum breakout, I would say take it at your own risk. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a bad entry because this could possibly be a good entry. What might happen here is if price does come down, it's probably going to come back down to this lower area right here, right? To basically fill this news movement. And then it may come right back up if we're stuck in that choppy market again. So if you guys are looking to take the momentum breakout, it looks like it's going to be a sell for the day. Overall bias for today is bullish. That's why I say take it at your own risk, because the overall market structure is very bullish. Plus the overall trend here is also bullish across the lower time frames and the higher time frames. However, my daily outlook for the day is currently slightly bearish with a 7 out of 10 alignment if you're going to combine fundamentals with the technicals. So just a couple things there to look at. I mean, it's a bit of a conflicting analysis there with regard to both the fundamentals and technicals, but we'll see how market here moves. So 629 right now, if you guys are looking to take the momentum breakout, it is going to be a sell. It's not necessarily a bad entry, but I would say, you're going to be going against you're going to be going against market structure and you're going to be going against overall trend. So if we do get a push to the downside, this could hit because price is likely to drop to this lower level. However, because you're going against the overall bias, it's going to be tricky here to take the sell here for the momentum breakout. So we got market opening up in about 20 seconds. Sam over here said historically, September CPI spikes, no point in trading it. Yeah, I agree with you. 100% Sam. So that's why for me personally, I would say maybe hold off for a little bit, wait for the market here to kind of bounce around a bit. And then if you want to take the momentum breakout after, hop into it. Just give it a few minutes or a minute to kind of spike around a bit and then catch it as it comes down. So I would say look for the manipulation and then look for it to come down. So see how price is pushing up a little bit. If you want to put a pending order here and just let it ride down, do that. There you go. So price manipulated up a little bit. Now it's coming back down. I'll follow the momentum breakout here. I'm not in this position, but we'll follow it. Like what Sam said, historically, it's been kind of a spike and a choppy move. So a lot of people don't really like to trade it, including myself. Right here, you can see it's short and choppy, just like we talked about. And it's just from experience, right? If you guys have traded CPI, specific certain months will kind of be a lot more choppier than others. And you can see over here, this is no different. Yeah, super, super choppy right here. ATR is very low. It's currently at 14. I mean, this is actually surprising that this ATR is so low because this is a big news event, right? This is a big, big news event. CPI is usually more, it's bigger than PPI. So if you're to combine, or if you're going to compare producer price index, consumer price index, and Michigan consumer sentiment, today is usually the bigger day. And see what's happening right here. This is why I said to be careful, because the overall market structure and bias was bullish. So I didn't really look to take sells here. Ideally, I'd like to take a buy here, of course. So we got price pushing up right now as we speak. With price pushing up like that, we have price currently right here at the orb low. The orb high is going to be right here at 45,713. We'll see if this establishes as the orb high. Obviously, I'll be looking for buys here if price continues to climb up. But my bias for today is bullish again. So overall market structure here bullish. Overall trend over here bullish across the lower time frames. Same with the higher time frames. So I'll mainly be looking for some buys here as price continues to, obviously move along. So we'll see. We'll see here. The orb high is at 45,713. I'm going to go ahead and put that number in over here just in case price does come back up. 45,713. I'm going to be watching it here to see if price has a clean break and close past the 45,713. And then I may be getting into this for the orb high. Again, I'm going to be watching the price action. We've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks because typically when we have an orb entry, it's like a clean break and close, right? Lately, we haven't been having that. So what I want to see here is I want to see a clean break retest, and continuation. I don't want to see it come up here, spike and touch it, and then reverse back down. Or this is what's been happening where we've been getting screwed pretty much every time we take it, is it touches it, it breaks past it, fakes out, and comes back below, and then it comes right back up. Or this is kind of what's been happening this week, actually. Price will kind of range around this area. It'll give an orb sell, fake out, or buy, fake out, and then it finally moves up a little later, right? It's that's just the market that we've been in. Um, it's tough because you want to get into the position and you know your setup is there, you know, you have the bias, you have the overall trend, but then the market structure on the actual movement isn't moving how it should be. Like this, for example, see how these candles are moving so slow? You don't really want a slow move, right? Because this is a breakout. For a breakout, you want it to clean break, retest, and push up higher. So just be cautious and be patient about the entry here, guys. Um, you know, I can admit that I haven't been very patient with the entry, you know, so for this week especially. For this week especially, we'll have like an orb to the sell, and then I wait for it to come back up, and then obviously it's a fake out. So I'm not going to be getting into it late. I'll just be watching it here. Again, I'm going to be looking for it to actually close above here and push up higher versus waiting for it to come down and then come right back up. Again, right here, price does not have much volatility behind it. It's pretty slow, but I'm going to be watching the price action. So we don't look like we're getting anything here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark up market structure real quick. So looking at this so far, we have a support level, which is down here. So we got a support level, which is right here. We also have so I have an imbalance right here. This is actually really good imbalance. It's a break and retest. So buys here do look good if we do get that. So we have an imbalance right there. This right here is the support level. We have another support level um, right here. And we have another support level down there. Let's go back to the orb entry. So again, guys, I'm looking for price to break and close past this orb high. It needs to be a clean break and close and continuation to the upside. We don't have that here, right? The volatility is very low. Price is staying pretty flat, but I will be watching the price action here. I need price to close above this orb high, retest, and push up higher. It's got to be a clean break. It's got to be a clean close. I'm not looking for it to test it, etc. I need it to just break past it, close, and continue up higher. Here's the thing with the market lately. We've been getting a lot of choppiness here, early market. Usually we have a lot of directional movement. Okay, so we have a break right there. I'm going to be waiting for it to actually close. So we got 25 seconds left on this candle right here. I'll be watching for it to close. Got to make sure it doesn't swing back at the last second. That's kind of what's been happening lately. So we got 10 seconds left on this candle right here. See how price is pulling back? We don't like that. All right, no entry there. So this is exactly what we've been getting stuck with, right? Looks great initially for the first couple of seconds, and it pulls down at the last few seconds before candle close. Again, right here, same thing. We don't like this right here. So if this is the case, you know, I'm not going to force the entry here for the orb. The orb has not been hitting lately. The good thing with the orb not hitting lately means that eventually it's going to hit, right? Every strategy has a downtime. The orb obviously has been having a downtime this for the past couple of weeks. It's been more of a break-even strategy for the past couple of weeks. We have another opportunity right here. Price is breaking past it. So I'm gonna watch it here, and I'm gonna make sure that it actually closes strong. If it doesn't close strong here and it pulls back down at the last second, no entry. But if it closes above it like that and it's pretty strong, I'm gonna put my entry right there for a buy limit, the orb high. All right, I'll place my buy limit right there.
Order submitted.
So there's two things that are going to happen here. Price is either going to pull back and fill my order. If it doesn't pull back and it goes straight up, then I'm going to cancel my order. So we got a possible orb high right here. There's two things that are going to happen. If it pushes up here, I'm going to cancel it. If it pulls down right here, it'll fill my order, and then I'll write it back up. So the orb is a buy today, of course. Overall market structure here is bullish. Overall trend over here is bullish across the higher time frames, bullish on the 1 minute, bullish on the 5, bullish on the 15. Price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. Same thing on the higher time frames down here, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. So I'll be looking for price to come down and fill my order. Again, if it doesn't fill and price reaches target before it reaches that point, then I'll be canceling my order here. So we'll see. Gotta wait and see how the market structure here kind of plays out, but overall, it is looking bullish. So it's moving kind of slow right here. Let me check the news real quick, make sure there's nothing going on at 7. Yeah, nothing here at 7 o'clock. So we got a couple confluences right here too. So looking over here on the main chart, looks like I'm going to get filled right now. Not yet. So we have a confluence right here to break and retest off the imbalance. So the trade is now active, guys, right there running for the orb.
Order submitted.
So we'll see here if it pushes back up. Ideally, I'm looking for this to push up. If this stops me out, man, it's just another choppy day for us, it looks like. And it stopped me out. Oh God. I'm having a horrible week this week, guys, but it's okay. Yeah,
Stop filled.
unfortunately, it looks like we're still stuck in this choppy market. So, yeah, I had to eat a loss on that trade, unfortunately, guys, for the orb. This week has not been a good week at all. But it's okay. I understand the strategy. Like I said, this is just kind of the week that we're currently in right now. But this isn't going to be enough to change my strategy. The thing that I might have to change here is my stop loss because the stop loss is a little tight. Like I'm going to watch this here and see how this here is pushing through. If this here stops me out and then pushes back up, then that's just the signal that I have to make my stop loss a little wider. The thing with this here is I'm taking half risk. So although I'm eating losses, it's not really eating into my account that heavily, right? So that's something to keep in mind. As long as you keep your stop losses pretty tight and you're not taking your risks super heavy, you'll be okay with surviving these drawdown periods. Right now, obviously, I'm having a drawdown period. I'll look to maybe get into another position if something does come up here, but yeah, it looks like I just got stopped out just barely, and it looks like it's pushing all the way back up. Man, unlucky, super unlucky right there. Looks like this here's about to hit. Yep, fuck me. Oh man. That was that was not what I was hoping to happen here. So the analysis is right. So like I said earlier, the analysis was right. It was just my stop was a little too tight here. Mm. All right, so that's frustrating because this is exactly what I was expecting to happen. I was looking for price to push up, retest, push back up higher. It did exactly that, but my stop was just a little too tight. So it stopped me out and then it went straight up to target. So okay, I'll keep looking for a possible opportunity here for a follow-up. If we do get a follow-up over here, I may get back in because this will be able to allow me to recoup my loss right there. There's a possible high-low break and retest right here if you guys are looking to get back into the position. It's at 45,737. This entry has to fill on this specific candle. Let me see if I can maybe put a pending order here. 45,737. It's too late. I'm not going to get into it here, but yeah, because it's already at the fill. Let's see this right here. Let's see, Daniel got in. So Daniel actually hit what he did is he's been getting in at the whole number below. So what Daniel did over here is instead of getting in right at the 713, he got in at the 700, it looks like. Nice. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. It's kind of similar to a levels entry. All right, so this is a high-low break and retest currently running right now. I wasn't able to get into it because it was kind of sitting at the entry point. So if I put my order in there, it would have given me an error. So I'll follow through right here and we'll kind of see how this here plays out. Um, nice work. Arc over here also hit his target right there for 50. All right, great work, Art. All right, so bias for today is still pretty bullish, and I'm not going to take any more entries right now, guys. I got to cool off for a bit because this over here, still kind of pissed that this happened. I mean, you shouldn't be emotional when you guys trade, but seeing this after, my whole analysis here was for this to happen and getting barely stopped out is kind of annoying. But yeah, I'm not looking to take any entries here right now. Obviously, if this happens to you guys and you guys take a loss and it happens to be an unlucky trade, then it's best to cool off, right? You just got to cool off for a little bit. So I'm going to be waiting until a little bit later. I'm not going to be looking to jump into any positions because the thing is, if you try to jump into a position right now, you're going to be revenge trading, right? That's the name of the game. If you don't give yourself enough time to really just kind of cool off and then put yourself together for the next opportunity, then you're going to be revenge trading, over trading, and you can really dig yourself into a deep hole. Thankfully for this right here, I didn't really lose much. Like I said, I'm taking half risk. So in order for me to have a full loss for the day, I have to take two losses. So right now I'm basically at a half loss. If I win the next trade though, then it's going to recoup that loss, and then it's also going to put me back in profit for the day because I'm doing a 1 to 2 here. So just something to keep in mind, guys, when you guys are taking trades, depending on what your win rate's like or what type of strategy you're applying, during a market like this, where market's pretty much going back and forth in a choppy move, it's better to lower your risk. So during the summer, I actually lowered my risk to a third. So I had to lose three trades to equal one loss. For right now, I'm taking half loss. So in order for me to lose one trade, I have to take two losses. So although this week hasn't been super great with win rate, my losses are technically just 1.5. Because I took a loss on Tuesday, took a loss yesterday, which is one loss, and then I took a loss today, which is a half. So not super bad. This here is a high-low break and retest, which is still currently running. You can see price is starting to get a little bit more choppy. The good thing with our analysis here is that the analysis is right, right? I pretty much anticipated price to be bullish. Um, Here, let me go over here real quick and I'll take a screenshot of this. I'm gonna take a screenshot with our imbalance here to show you guys what I was seeing here with this entry, like why I thought this was a good entry. Um, okay, so the reason why I thought this here was a good entry was because our overall structure was bullish, right? So that checked off the list. Also, we hear the overall trend was bullish, so that was checked off the list. And then this was like the confirming factor here. See how we had the imbalance? Price created the imbalance between this candle and this candle with this big one, and we had a retest. So typically, when you have a confluence like that, you're expecting price to continue pushing up higher, right? Which is why I anticipated this to push up. The only problem here is that I got caught in the spike to the downside, and then it corrected back up to where we were expecting. So even though this was a loss, I consider this, we talked about it, it's a fair loss in my perspective, because even though I took a loss here, it still moved in the direction that I was looking for. It's just my stop loss was too tight. So I will put this over here in the Discord, of course, so that you guys can see that. And yeah, I mean it's only 20 points, so it's we'll make it back. And it's just a matter of time. So the high-low break and retest right there. This thing over here was also tricky. If you look at this high-low break and retest, guys, this one almost hit stop loss again. See this big red candle right here? It got really close to stop loss, but then it spiked all the way back up. So yeah, I think for this here, I might start to implement what Daniel's been doing. Daniel's been putting in the his entry at the whole number. So that goes in line with the market flow V2 and then also the MPS, right? If you guys are familiar with the MPS, which is momentum pullback scalp, we used to apply a similar strategy to this, but we'd put our entry at the whole number. So instead of the orb right here, be a little bit lower. Instead of the orb high, here, I'll move it down a little bit. So instead of the orb high right here at 45,713, it was at 45,710. Yeah, it would have been super, super close again, but enough to survive the spike to the downside. Yeah, just some fine tuning that I might have to do with the strategy here, of course, because yeah, I mean it's been a little bit of a mess. So like same right with this right here. So this is the high-low break and retest. The entry was at 45,737. You would have gotten in a little lower actually at 45,730. Yeah, and this here would have done the same thing. You would have had some leeway right there. But again, like I said, there's no need to make any changes right now. I'll keep that in mind in the future if we start to take other entries. But as of now, unfortunately, this is just a really unlucky day overall because of the spike right there. But again, the analysis here is correct. So I'll be continuing looking for buy entries. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll keep looking for opportunities here as price continues to move along. So if you guys are just joining in, there was a couple entries which came up. The momentum breakout over here actually did not play through. The orb over here, it pushed through and then it came back and stopped me out, like barely. It stopped me out by a point before it came all the way up. Yeah, the good thing here is the analysis played through. We had the imbalance right there. Um, Everything about this trade here just it looked right. Right, we had bullish bias with regard to the multiple time frames. So the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, 30 minute, 1 hour, all bullish. The overall trend over here, short term, 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, all bullish. Price above the pivots, trend meter green, pivots angling to the upside. Same with the higher time frames over here, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. Same thing. Price is above the pivots, trend meters green, pivots are angling up. Um, the only downside is that we're having a lot of choppiness here. So lots of back and forth movement. We'll be looking for more entries here. I'm hoping to get one more entry here because if I get one entry here, I can recoup that loss from that orb, and then I will bounce back from it. So the good thing is that we're doing a 1 to 2. So like I said earlier, guys, we're not only doing a 1 to 2, but we're also I'm also halving my risk. So each trade that I take, I'm losing about like 500, which is not a big deal, right? 500 is not a make or break for my accounts because um because that's kind of where I'm expecting the trades to be. Like if I have one loss, it'll give me one more opportunity to bounce right back. So we'll be waiting for this here as price continues to move along. We're getting close to the London high right here. So once a new high gets established, I'll mark up a new high level right there. But it looks like we're finally moving into a directional market. So this is a good sign, right? This is pretty much what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for price to do this breakout and continue pushing up higher. Lately, we've been getting a lot of this chop. So if you look over here pre-market, this is what we've been getting a lot of back and forth right here. Back and forth, but today we're having a pretty nice bullish push to the upside. Let's see if there's any more market structure here. We have another imbalance right here. Where's it at? Yeah, another imbalance right here. All right, so there's no retest of this imbalance yet. Price is still climbing up very strongly. Unfortunately, none of my swing trades here would have been nice if they would have filled, but there's no fill here. Yeah, so you can see over here, price hasn't really pulled back far enough for any of my entries to get filled. Here's my Dow US 30 trade. Yeah, so price spiked down right here. I had my entry over here at the 250. Initially it was at the 45,000, but I moved it over here to the 45,250. It did not pull back far enough for it to fill. It looks like it would have filled right here at the 45,500 and would have pushed up. But it looks like another week over here with no swing trades for me because there wasn't enough of a pullback or retracement. It's all good. All right, I will continue to follow here and we'll see what happens next. Let's see, visual said for the 2-minute orb, 20-point stop loss is too tight. I need to give it some more room to play. I give it 60 to 75 points, and the win rate is much higher than 20 points. But again, your account and your risk management. Yeah, exactly. 100% visual. Initially, we used to use a bigger stop, right? We used to use a 40 to 50 stop. So closer to like what you were having before. But the thing is, market's been so choppy that, well, not today, but previous days, right? Yesterday and the day before, like it wouldn't matter how wide my stop loss was, it would still get kind of messed up. But I think over the weekend I'll do some more testing just to see where I should adjust it to. But I think at the moment I'll probably just leave it as is. But ideally we would usually have it to like the midpoint, right? Like right there. If anything, that's what I might change it to. So what I might change it to is like, yeah, maybe 50 to like be at the midpoint right there. Let's check yesterday's entry. There's nothing to take right now, guys. We're at the all-time high, so there's nothing to take at the moment. Um, but let's see what it looked like yesterday. Yeah, I mean yesterday would have stopped out either way. The orb here was for a sell. Stop would have been right here at the midpoint. Yeah, either way, it pulled up about 80 points. Let's check the orb from the previous day. Because it's been so choppy for the past couple of days visual, that's why I haven't really been, there wasn't really any need for adjustment. Yeah, I mean, it would have been stopped out right here too. The orb came down below. Midpoint would have gone stopped out. 80 points would have got stopped out. Let's check Monday. Monday was actually a win, so the orb hasn't been super horrible. It just hasn't been as consistent. So on Monday, the orb actually hit. See, if the stop loss was too wide here, probably would have gone stopped out. But the orb here did hit for 40, and then it pulled up right here. Yeah, so here, let's just document, or we'll talk about like what the orb has been setting up for this week. So orb entries this week, Monday, win, full TP, Tuesday, loss, Wednesday, loss, Thursday, loss, barely triggered, stop loss, then full TP. So this is basically the stats for the orbs this week. The Monday was a win for full TP. So I mean, technically, if you were to calculate this, it would be like at a half loss right now, right? Because the Monday would have covered the loss from Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the loss for today was like barely a loss. Um, so I'll just have to I'll have to keep documenting it and keep following it for the next couple weeks, I guess, to see how the orb is working. Like what Visual said over here, he said if the orb is too wide, I lower the risk and put stop above or below the orb. And also, he uses the 2-minute candle instead of the 1 minute to wait for the close above or below. Okay, cool. Let me go to the 2-minute real quick. See if it's different. Oh, it looks like it still would have been the same, so not really a big difference there. Yeah, it still would have burned me on that trade. Let me check the entry from yesterday. Again, guys, there's no entries here right now. Price is at the all-time high. It's climbing up higher. So until price retraces back, we're not really going to have any entries here. So don't worry, you guys are not missing out on anything at the moment. We're just kind of reviewing the orb entry for this week to see if there's any difference. I'm always looking for, some way to improve. So thanks, Visual, for your input. Yeah, it looks like the orb still would have lost right here too, maybe. Because I've been looking at different time frames for the orb as well. Like because the market's been so choppy, I've been looking at like the 15-minute orb, the 1 hour orb, the 30-minute orb. It doesn't really make a huge difference. Yeah, it still would have lost the previous day. So yeah, if we do find an edge on a different time frame, obviously I'll use that to improve on. But yeah, it looks like it's still would have lost here on Tuesday. Let's check Monday because Monday was a win. See if it made any difference. No, it looks like it would have been the same thing. Okay, so that's good to know. Maybe over the weekend I'll continue to test it. Looks like the results are still the same, even if I went on the 2 minute. It looks like it might have been a little cleaner, but still same difference. Wins on the win on Monday. Oops. Yeah, so here are the stats for the orb. The orb isn't doing horrible, guys. So, there's no need for me to make any crazy adjustments right now. The orb is still doing pretty well. As long as the orb stays within like a one win to one loss criteria per week, I think it's good because you'll go through these weeks where you're gonna have a couple losses, and then you're gonna have weeks where you have a bunch of wins. So, like, say for example, next week the market starts moving directional again, like it's moving today. If that's the case, then it's going to recoup pretty much every loss and it's going to push us back into deep profit. So you gotta use the probabilities to your advantage and the numbers to your advantage, right? If the numbers here make sense, then obviously um, don't change anything too crazy. Let's see, visual said if you look at yesterday, the 2 minute candle never closed above the orb. Okay, let's check that real quick. Again, guys, there's no entry, so don't worry. I'm waiting for this high here to be established. I'll come back and take a look at it once it's established. But right now, it's still climbing up higher. This is so this here is another frustrating thing to see is because if your analysis is right and you knew price was going to go up like this, but there's no retracement, there's no way to get into this and ride this up. The trade or the market's basically moving without you. So we'll see. We'll see as price continues to bounce around here. So let's go back to the 2 minute here like we talked about. So let's see. Visual said um hmm. So it looks like it closes below here for me visual. I'm not sure if yours is different. I know you trade on the tick chart, right? So maybe it's because you're on the tick chart, but on the actual 2 minute candle, it looks like it does close on this one right here, which is the 638 candle. So this would be the orb low because it's on this candle, and this would be the orb high. It breaks past right here, but isn't actually close. But it does close on this one over here. Yeah, so the orb sell would have came up. But yeah, like you said, it never closed above it. So there'd be no orb high there. But the orb here looks like it still would have closed for a sell, so technically it'd be a sell entry. I wouldn't have taken the sell entry because my bias was a buy for yesterday. But the orb sell here did come up when it closed below the 638 candle. And I think it's still lost. Yeah, this here still would have lost, it looks like. Actually would have lost on this candle. Yeah, because this closed below, the penny order would be waiting right there. Or if you would have entered right away, it still would have been a loss regardless for the retest or for the break and close. So. I took a buy yesterday, but I didn't take the orb yesterday. So yesterday I took a high-low break and retest. Yeah. So the entry I took yesterday was different. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. Visual said, no, I'm saying is short stayed because it never closed above the 2 minute orb. Oh, gotcha. Because that's where your stop would have been placed, right? Gotcha. Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right, guys. We are looking for the retracement. No retracement here. Man, I'm still bummed out about this orb entry, guys. I mean, not in a bad way, but I'm still like, fuck, man, I can't believe this thing stopped me out and then it pushed right back up. I'm not in a bad mindset though. My psychology's not messed up. I'm just like, every time I look at this here, I'm like, I can't believe this thing dropped 1 point below my stop and then it came right back up. So it's okay. Like all you can really do is laugh at it at this point. It's crazy. The analysis here was spot on with the bullish push. All confluences here were met, the imbalance, the overall market structure. the overall trend structure, everything here was, and I wish there was like another setup here that I could have gotten into, but there just wasn't. I'm actually, so for this high-low break and retest right here, I'm actually glad that I didn't get into this position because I think this here, if this would have left, if I would have taken this and I would have lost, this here would have really messed up my psychology for the week. Because having two back-to-back losses so quickly like that would have been like, it would have been something I'd be laughing at. I'd be pretty upset that because this would be considered a FOMO move or a revenge trade, right? Samir said, my opinion about the orb is that it's overrated. One needs more confluence. Um, I have a lot of confluences though, Samir. I don't know how many more confluences you need, right? My orb over here has way too many. I think this is too many confluences as is. I mean, we have a six time frame market structure confluence. We have a six time frame trend confluence. We have an imbalance confluence. That's 13 confluences, bro. Like I don't know what other confluence you would add to this or what would you need for the orb. I mean, yeah, if you're talking about the orb by itself, okay, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it needs more confluences. That's why for me, I have all these confluences here. But with what I'm looking at, I think this is kind of overkill, right? I already have a lot of confluences here. I have six time frames for market structure, six time frames for trend structure, trend confirmation and structure. And then also I use the imbalance here as well. So, I mean, if you think there's another confluence I think I should add to it, feel free to let me know. But I think I have a lot of confluences already that I use um, for my specific entry. That's why for the most part my orb here has been pretty accurate. It's just, I mean, today was one of those days where it just unfortunately stopped out before it made the move that we were expecting. So, all right, guys, price is starting to retrace back a little bit. If this is the case, we have a high here, which is currently pending, possibly setting up. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for this higher high to establish. In order for this to establish, we need to have a new low here. So we have a high, possibly a low, and then we'll look for price to break above, retest, and continue up higher from there. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so Chris over here said he changed his orb from 40 20 to 40 25 way back. But unfortunately, Chris got out at break even. Oh man, that sucks, Chris. That would have been nice for you to hit that one right there. I was thinking about doing that as well, to adjusting the stop a little bit because the 20 is a little tight. But yeah, it looks like oh, okay, I see what you did. You're you're so you caught it right there, it pushed up, and then when it pushed up right there, you moved your stop loss to break even, it pulled you out, and then it went straight out. Yeah, that's tough. It's all good. At least the analysis is right for you too, Chris. The good thing that we're getting out of this here is that market is starting to move directional, right? I think that's the biggest thing here because we've been waiting for the market to be directional for about 2, 3 weeks now. So now that the market is finally moving directional today, hopefully this directional move will continue into the week. So like say, for example, Friday, we have another directional push like this. Hopefully if that's the case, and we can look for another opportunity for entry if price does continue to climb up higher. Let's see, Sam said 45 471 was my swing buy yesterday with a 50-point stop loss. Why I went 60 stop loss. And since then, 500 points. Bro, this is trading. I know. Yeah. Literally. So Sam over here as well, he had a swing trade. His stop loss was at 50 points. Unfortunately, it came down and it stopped him out at 50 and then it went straight up 500 points. It's, in general, it's the market that we're currently in, right? We've been looking at this market. If you guys have been trading with me every day for the past couple weeks or past couple months, you guys have seen that the market's been super choppy for the past, basically since NFP. So from September 1st until today, September 11th, it's been 2 weeks now. We've been in this choppy market, and the thing is, we apply mainly directional strategies. So with that being the case, um, it doesn't help that market is going back and forth because we can't really take directional entries. The good thing is that today, this is the first day we've actually had a pretty nice directional push. So this directional push to the upside was kind of what we've been waiting for. Thing is, I've talked to you guys about this before. The market moves in basically three different phases, right? It either continues to climb up for a bullish move, it climbs down for a bearish move, or it goes sideways in a back and forth range. Right. For the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we've been in this back and forth range. Today, we're currently in the bullish direction. So with this being the case, we like this because when price pulls up, pull traces back, we get a possible entry right here. And then vice versa, when it's bearish, we get price come down, retracement, we get the entry on the continuation. The problem with this here with the sideways market is that the only strategy that really works well would be like liquidity sweeps or like, catching support and resistance, which there's nothing wrong with it. But for me personally, I don't like trading sideways markets. So, all right, looks like we are going into a sideways market here. So this is something you want to be careful for. You don't really want to be trading in the sideways market like this. What you want to look for here is you want to look for some volatility. So I'll be watching for a possible high-low break and retest off this higher high right here. But I need it to be a pretty clean break and close, right? So I need this here to have a clean break past this level, retest it, and push back up higher. The thing with trading, that we've talked about in the past, guys, is that you have to really manage your risk properly, right? Like I said earlier, guys, I have half my risk for this. So here's my risk for my risk is about my daily trading risk, two trades. So ability to take two trades at half risk. So in order for me to have one full loss, I can lose two trades back to back, right? This is my daily trading risk. So, a lot of people talk about risk management. They don't exactly tell you how to do it. It's not based off your stop loss and target. What I have here is that I can take two trades to equal a full loss. So for today, I had one loss, right? With me having one loss for the day, this allows me, and here I'll also put this here. If I lose a trade, it's one, two, to to a full loss, right? If I win a if I win a trade, it's one full win. So using a 1 to 2 risk reward. So I know a lot of people talk about risk management. Risk management is not always just your TP stop loss. It's based about like what your stop loss is worth. So because here I'm taking a half loss, I'm able to take two losses before I could, it adds up to one loss. So this is why it's important. Like depending on your strategy, if the win rate's high, I know a lot of people like to do 1 to 1. Some people like to do negative risk to reward. For years, I traded negative risk to reward, right? But I have a very high win rate back then. It was like a 90% win rate or close to it, 85 to 90% win rate. This strategy here, now that I'm applying for the orb, it's more of like a 60 to 70% win rate. So in order to balance it out, I have to use a 1 to 2 instead of a 1 to 1 because the win rate's not very high. But it's able to recoup losses, whenever we have certain wins. So this is just my daily trading risk. We have a possible setup right here for the high-low break and retest, guys, if you guys want to take it. I think the volatility right now is a little too low. So I'm not really looking to get into this at the moment. But you're looking for price to break and close past this higher high. See how the volatility here is very low? I don't like when the volatility stays flat like this because like I talked about earlier with the orb, I need it to be a clean break, retest, and continuation up higher. I don't want it to basically test it, have a continuous test of this level, and then finally break past it, and then it fakes out back down. So there was actually no close right there. There's a break past it, but not a close. And here we go as price continues to move sideways. Let's see, Glenn said, how about using a 30-60 or 25-50? So I thought about doing a 25-50, Glenn. I think that's closer in line with what I was looking for. The thing with the I mean 30-60 is fine too, but I think 25-50 might be even better because I want to keep my stops pretty tight. Um Yeah, like I talked about before, guys, with the orb, the strategy is not really going to be changed very much. Like if I do need to change anything here, it's going to be the TP stop loss, right? Like if the volatility here gets higher, the thing is the volatility hasn't really increased that much. It's currently at 22, so the ATR is not super, super high. Here's a high-low break and retest, guys. This has to fill on this following candle. So we have a possible high-low break and retest right here. This has to come back down and fill on this specific candle. If it doesn't fill on this one, you have to cancel the order. So there's a pending limit order over here. If you guys are looking to take this as a high-low break and retest, like I said earlier, I don't like the volatility because it's flattening out a little too much. I need a clean break, retest, and continuation of higher. There is 23 seconds left on this candle. So if this candle doesn't come down and fill right here within the next 20 seconds or 15 seconds, you have to cancel your order. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're following the strategy that we're talking about here, technically you'd have to cancel the order. All right, the candle is about to close right now, and there's no fill. So with there being no fill, you have to cancel your order, guys. Wait for the next setup. All right, so no entry right there. It's 7:14, so we got a lot of time, guys. We have a lot of time left in the market. If you guys are looking to take an entry, I'm going to be looking for entries up until 8 o'clock. So I'm in no rush to get into anything. If I see something good, I'll take it. If I don't, then I'm not going to force anything here. Overall direction of bias is still pretty bullish, though. So obviously, I'd still be looking for buys. Again, let's do a full analysis of the chart. If you guys are just joining in, there's a couple inches which came up today. There was the orb over here. Unfortunately, my orb hit stop loss barely at 20 points. And then it shot up. Let's see. Oh man, looking at this here, it's crazy because this thing literally stopped out at the 20 points and it pushed up 300 after that. So because it had a tight stop loss, unfortunately, it pulled me out, but it did push up 300 points in the direction of our overall bias and trend. So again, let's take a full analysis of the chart here again. Full analysis right now. We currently have a bullish bias with regard to trend. So looking over here on the 1 minute time frame, it's currently bullish, 5 minute, 15, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. All of it has bullish market structure, bullish order blocks. It's above the equilibrium for the premium and discount zones. For the gaps over here, for if you guys are looking at fair value gaps, it's pretty much above on pretty much all the time frames except the first 1 minute. For liquidity grabs, it's currently bullish. It's mixed right now, and for the equal highs, it's a little mixed. So for the most part, it is bullish with regard to market structure. And then over here on the trend, of course, there's no, there's no opposite analysis here. Everything here is bullish. You can see on the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, these are the lower time frames. Price is above the pivots, the trend meter is green, and the pivots are all angling up. So with that being said, we currently have a bullish trend with regard to the lower time frames. On the higher time frames over here, 30 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour, price is also bullish. You can see price is above the pivots, the trend meter is green, and the pivots are angling to the upside. So we'll continue looking for buys here. There's just no opportunities for entry at the moment, but the buys here are still going to be the main direction that we're looking for. So you guys can be trading your own strategy. And if you guys are, I would say, continue looking for buys here. You don't have to be trading my high-low break and retest or my MPS V2s, but if you are going to be following through with directional buys, I would recommend looking for buys here, of course. Mainly buys. Let's see. PC said orb entry is best taken at closest gap. In my eyes, go for larger targets, lower risk, have an exit strategy to protect capital. Yeah, exactly, PC. I mean, that's what I'm doing, right? That's why I keep my stops pretty tight and I keep everything in line. But the market volatility here is starting to die out a little bit. We're getting a bit of a range, and we'll kind of see what happens next. Yeah, Sam said PC, how rare is the daily candle without a lower wick? Yeah, let's check. Daily candle over here. So basically it's been pushing up straight for the entire day, huh? Yeah, so no lower wick here. It is very unusual. If you look over here at the, I mean, it rarely happens if ever. If you look at the daily candle, there's always wicks on both sides, right? Because price tends to range back and forth. Thing is, we're in such a bullish market today that it doesn't have any wick at the bottom at all. See, the last time we had that happen was a long time ago. We had a small wick right here. That's crazy. So initially from open, it's been pushing up ever since. Yeah, I don't see any other days here where there's no lower wick. Back to March. Is there no wick? I think there might be a little wick, like a really small one, but I'll check. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go to a clean chart with like no markup so I can kind of see a little better and a little closer. Here's my swing trade, never got filled, fortunately. All right, let's go to YM real quick. Let's turn all this stuff off. Okay, I guess there's a little, it's very, very small. Like very, like you can barely even see it. But yeah, basically no wick on the bottom. It's crazy. All right, back to our main chart. So, guys, looks like we are currently in a consolidation phase. Price here is going back and forth. We established a high, established a low. Price here is just going back and forth. Yeah, let's see. PC City, yeah, crazy Sam. Either true momentum or manipulation. Let's see how it plays out. Probably going to sit out today, maybe tomorrow because the movement is weird off to me. Yeah, and I agree with you too, PC. The good thing is that we do have the directional push though, so I'm hoping to see that there's a continuation of this directional push tomorrow. If not, if we don't go into a directional market tomorrow, I think we're going to stay choppy probably until next week. Next week is Fed week, so we have the interest rate news coming out. With the interest rates coming out next week, guys, everything here is getting baked in. Like pricing is baked in already. Obviously we have the all-time high here. For what I see here, guys, I think price is pushing at the all-time high because we're going to have a bearish market next week. We might get a sideways move until Wednesday. Once the Fed interest rates come out, I think we're going to cut 25 basis points. It's going to come right back down. So if you look at this from a higher perspective, let's go on the 4 hour. See how price is pushed up super high? I think we're going to end up back down here. So basically a 500 point drop next week. Yeah, I'm going to be looking for this here for my swing accounts. My swing accounts, I don't even know if I'll put a stop loss. I probably won't even put a stop loss on my swing accounts. I'll just keep buying the dip because I think it's going to keep dipping. It might even dip more than this, honestly, guys. It might drop like 1,000 points. We have a lower low right here, so there's a support level. There's targets here for price to reach if it does drop this low. So I'll have to price in my swing trades accordingly. What I might do is I might just dollar cost average in. I'm going to take probably my positions with smaller contract sizes and I'll buy the dip. So if price comes down, I'll buy a dip right here. I'll buy a dip right here. I'll just dollar cost average in and then I'll buy a dip right here. And if it drops even lower than this, I'll buy right here, right? And then when it comes right back up, I'll make a killing because I'll ride this back up about 1,000 points. So that's kind of my guess or like, my anticipation right there for my swing trades. Yeah, I think that's probably a better option. I'd rather just dollar cost average in than getting in for a big size like right here at the 500, 1,000, because I'm expecting pretty big drops to happen next week. So I will probably be doing that. I'll give you guys an update in the chat with my swing counts. You guys can see I gave a small update yesterday. I was trying to catch the drop. So like yesterday when price dropped down a little bit, see, I adjusted my trades a little higher. They didn't get filled though, of course, but it would have been nice if they did get filled because it did drop pretty heavily. Well, not super heavy. So like right here, for example, price dropped about 500 points. See, so the thing is if I priced my entry right here at 45,000 500, see if I would have swung my trades from there, I would have made a nice 500 or close to 500 points right there. Thing is, my entry was a little bit lower. It was right here. Just it was just a little bit lower. If this thing would have came down just a little bit more, it would have filled right here, and I would have rolled this all the way up to 750. But it's all good. I was expecting the CPI data to be negative. Surprisingly, it was positive because so the producer price index data yesterday was negative. So I was like, okay, if it's negative yesterday, it should be negative today. But that just wasn't the case, right? Let's look at this week's news. So looking at this week's news. You guys can see over here on Wednesday, PPI news was negative. NFP data was negative from last week. I mean, all the data here was pretty much negative. So I was expecting this here to be negative too. And surprisingly, it was a surprise. It was bullish. So that's why I priced my entry right here because I was like, okay, it's going to drop another. I was expecting a 500 point drop. So I was expecting price to open up here and then dump 500 points and then correct right back up. Yeah. So if you guys are looking to take swing trades, I'll give you guys updates in the chat regarding that. But I'm probably going to price it out pretty low next week because I think, with the stuff that's going on around the world, like stuff that's going on with Israel and, their bombing and stuff like that, and the national news here in the US with the shootings, I think market's going to open lower next week because it's all going to tie into the interest rates. And we might get a sideways move until Wednesday. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of different factors here to kind of take into consideration. All right, so we have a new support level right here. Let me go and mark this up for you guys. Support level. It's right there. For these imbalances, let's see. The midline is kind of useful for these imbalances here. So for example, color this black. Yeah, the middle line helps to identify the 50% retracement. All right, guys, looking at the current market right here, we're just getting a back and forth movement. So this is what I was just talking about earlier, guys. The market is now consolidating within these little boxes right here. This is just an indication that you should probably sit out of the market for a little bit until market breaks out of this area. At 725 right now, I think this might be the market for the next couple minutes because it looks like the bullish move already happened and then now it's starting to go sideways. We'll follow it to see if anything else here happens, but for the most part, it looks like it's just going to keep going back and forth. Yeah, PC said price is setting up for next week. Before interest rate meetings, traders will not know if we're going to break out or come back to the range. Makes more liquidity in the market. Yeah, I agree with you too, PC. And PC said if price stays above the all-time high and back into the range, then same approach. Yeah, I also agree with you on that. I think price is going to bake in. It's basically going to be baked in from now until next week. If anything, we might get a sideways move. Let me check the news events for next week. I know it's Fed week, but let's see what we got. Wednesday's the big day. So obviously, Monday we have New York Empire State Manufacturing Index. This usually doesn't affect the market too much, but it is a high impact news event. We have retail sales on Tuesday, import prices, etc. Wednesday's the big day. We have Fed day this day. So FOMC economic projections. with the press conference. So like basically we might get a sideways market Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday we're gonna get a huge spike at 11 o'clock. Pretty big spike. Thursday we have jobs data, and then Friday's pretty much flat day. Okay. Well, with that being said, there's nothing here right now, guys. Price is consolidating within the zone right here. It's consolidating about 60 points. The ATR is currently at 20, so we have average ATR right now. Market's not dead, but it isn't moving directional. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, we'll see. Let's see. Ark is asking a question. Can I tell my ATM to move stop loss to negative 600 loss if it pulls me to break even after a push to 500 push in profit? Um, Ark says, I know this question sounds crazy. My psychology is messed up. If it does push to TP fast enough, I just close it. Is that bad? Um, I mean, yeah, because so I personally I'd say that's bad, Arc, because you're wishy-washy, right? You can't be wishy-washy with your trades. Because the thing is, if you keep doing that and you move your stop loss, to random areas, then it's not going to balance out, right? Because you want to take wins when the wins happen, and you want to take losses when the losses happen. If you keep moving your stop loss to like, like you said, a little bit closer, but not necessarily to break even, um, then you're not going to have any consistency. So, I mean, technically you can. If you wanted to adjust it, you can adjust it yourself. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're doing. But I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, Art, because eventually if you keep doing that, you're going to end up with a lot of break-even days or a lot of low profit days. And then, the days when you have the big wins, you're not going to have the full profit. So, understanding your risk and understanding your win rate and understanding the probabilities of your strategy, that's where you would determine if you want to, depending on what your settings are. Like for me, for the orb, I know the orb has about a, we'll say about like a 65 to 75% win ratio, right? Since that's the case, I'm okay with doing a 1 to 2, and I'm okay with moving my stop loss in profit once it reaches 30. So I think the setup that you have right now is fine, Arc. I don't think you should change anything, because obviously you're applying my strategy and that's what the numbers say. But if you want to make your adjustments, you can. I just don't think it's a good decision. All right, guys, we're still stuck within this range. Not really too much going on. Price did kind of push above it right here. Not no close, but did push above it slightly. And again, we are here kind of just waiting for opportunity. All right, if there's any questions, guys, feel free to hop in the chat. Otherwise, we are going to continue waiting for price to actually move out of this area. All right. So we got price breaking past the area. It is not it is it's breaking past, but it's not really pushing up. It's slowly pushing up, but not like anything too crazy. Let's see what we got here. Price finally broke out of the range. So there's a possible high-low break and retest right here, guys. If anybody is looking to catch it, it looks like it already filled. Not in this position right here. I wouldn't take this because there's not really much of a continuation. Looks like price here is still kind of just holding this area. If you want to take it though, the entry is right here. If you want to get in late, you still can. I wouldn't recommend it because the volatility is not very high. Like I said, you want to see something here where price breaks past it and then it continues up really quickly. Right? You want a quick break, quick clean break, quick retest, and then continuation. But because the volatility here is so low, we had this long consolidation phase. I wouldn't necessarily get into the first break. I would wait for some consolidation. Let's see. Samson bought after looking at the 1530 candle bullish. Took it with half risk. Okay, nice work, Sam. So Sam got into this trade right here. So hopefully it does push up and hit your target. Um, Sam said he was looking at the 1530 candle. Okay, nice. Yes, you saw the bottom wick right here, right? Rejected off the pivots. And Sam got out of it already. So Sam only went in for 15 points. Quick in and out. ATR is a little low, so 40 points is definitely kind of pushing it a little bit. Not to say that it won't push up to 40 points, but yeah, I would consider it a little risky here. Yeah, 40 points is a little bit of a stretch. This is a 40-point move right here. If you guys are looking to get out with your stop loss and profit, I would say at 30 points right here, move your stop loss in profit. I'll put a line here so that you guys can see when it reaches 30 points. There we go. All right, cool. So the trade is currently running right now for this high-low break and retest. Again, if you guys want me to review this here, this was a high-low break and retest to the upside. We had this green candle right here breaking close past this structure, which is this higher high. It retested on this following red candle, so that confirmed the entry for a high-low break and retest. Price is pushing up right now. It reached 30 points. With it at 30 points, you can move your stop loss in profit now. Typically, if I'm in this position, my stop loss would get automatically moved in profit to 10 points. So if you do that, you guarantee 10 points and you also can reach for the full 40. So if you guys are in this position right now, you guys can move your stop loss and profit. Personally, that's what I would do myself. But if you want to just hold on to it and let it breathe, you can also do that. But for me, I would have moved this in profit already. Sam is already out in 15 points. So Sam was the only person I saw get into that position there. Um, yeah, you guys can see here the volatility is not really that high. So the thing with these scalp positions is that you want them to hit right away, right? You want it to come up, fill, and then go straight to your target. When you hold on to this position for more than 5 minutes, it's no longer a scalp. At that point, it turns into a day trade, and anything can happen after 5 minutes. So, this is about 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the fourth minute in. You probably would have gone stopped out in profit, guys. Like I said, if you hit the 30 right here, my automatic TP would get moved up to 10. So the basically would have guaranteed points right there. And this is the whole reason why I have my stop loss in profit because stuff like this happens, especially if you're holding on to it for an extended period. So I'll keep following it here. I had a feeling this was going to happen. The reason why I kind of anticipated this to happen was because of the low volatility right here. Price started floating around this area. Um, Again, let me just show you guys, what we look for. We look for a continuation move to the upside, or we look for a continuation move to the downside, or we look for a back and forth range movement. So this is kind of just what happened right now, back and forth range movement. I look for entries here, and I look for entries here. When price is ranging like it has moved right here, just right now, I typically just stay out of the market because stuff like this happens. So the trade's still running. Like I said earlier, I don't necessarily think this is not going to hit, but because of the low volatility, price is probably going to float around here for a bit. And it becomes a lot more riskier because when you're holding on to a position for so long, this can easily it could easily shift on you, right? Like right now, the bias is very bullish. Doesn't mean the current price is going to keep moving bullish. Like this can easily shift at any moment here. Yeah, exactly. Sam said this thing can dump anytime and sweep liquidity below and go up. So I'm not going to be a hero. I'm out in 15. Yeah, I agree with you too, Sam. And Sam also mentions the all-time high, so we have no target. I agree with you 1000%. Literally, you read my mind with regard to your analysis there. That's pretty much what I saw too. There's no targets up here, right? There's no liquidity above. So yeah, if price pushes up higher, it's going to keep pushing a new all-time high, which I don't think there's anything wrong with, right? There's nothing wrong with trading the all-time high. The problem here is that look how price is having trouble pushing the all-time high, right? We have a higher high right here, and it's kind of just sitting there. Yeah, PC said my targets at all-time high are always whole numbers. Yeah. And with mine too, right? I like to use whole numbers. So like what PC mentioned, like basically the next target here would be the 100 for me personally. Right? If I was to look at this here and I'm like, okay, where's price going to reach up next? Currently price is at 46,070. Next target for me would be 46,100. So the trade's still technically running, guys. If you guys are in this position, I'm still following it for you guys here. But you guys can see how price is still moving in limbo over here between the open until now. Right, price is kind of just sitting here. So it's on its way up. But I mean, for me, I think I had enough stress for today with regard to the orb entry. So this over here is not exactly something I would want to get stuck in. So it looks like it's about to hit TP. And there you go, full TP for 40 points. If you guys caught that as a high-low break and retest, great work. Again, the entry happened over here. It broke and closed past this higher high, retested and pushed up higher. We are at the all-time high right now, so price is pushing up further. And I mean, we'll see if this reaches the 100 right there, 46,100. So another all-time high right there, guys. All right, price is still pushing up a little further. All right, we got to that 100 right there, guys. Let's see if price breaks past it or if it continues to bounce. All right, we got past that area. So with price at a new all-time high, the next target area would be the 200 or the 50. I mean, depending on how many increments you want to take it up, it'd be the 150 probably. I like to go off 50, right? Typically like to go off of not 50, but increments at 250. But since we're at the all-time high, I mean, go from 100 to probably 200 for now. Or the volatility is low, so we'll do it at 50. I'll do increments at 50 and then we'll go from there. If it pushes up higher, then I'll go by hundreds. All right, so we're still climbing here. We are still climbing. We're getting close to 8 o'clock though. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Unfortunately for today, we've had like a lot of, well, the good thing is we've had some directional push. We also have some sideways flatness over here. So here's the thing. See how price is pushing up? We're getting a lot of liquidity starting to build up over here. So we got a ton of liquidity buildup over here. Eventually, this liquidity is going to get wiped out. I think this here is starting to build up until next week. So next week, I think once we have the interest rate news come out, it's going to come and wipe out all this liquidity. There's a lot of liquidity down here. If you look at this from a bigger perspective, there's a ton of liquidity just hanging out, which is going to get wiped out eventually. We got nothing here right now. So if you guys are just joining in, big bullish push over here from the CPI news. I mean, we had an anticipation this was going to happen initially before market even opened because the news was super positive. Not super positive, but it was pretty positive. Let's go take a look at the CPI data again. So the CPI data for this morning was last month it was 323.05. It was forecasted to be 323.89. It was 323.98. So it was only up by like 0.09, but a lot better than expected compared to yesterday's PPI news. All right, we're getting closer to 8 o'clock, guys. 7:45 right now. We got about 15 minutes till 8. So with that being the case here, the market here might start to flatten out. As we get closer to 8 o'clock, the market here gets pretty flat and it kind of just goes sideways. One thing to look out for is going to be the ATR. So if you look down below right here, the ATR is currently at 17. If this is a case where the ATR gets lower and lower, then expect the market to go flat. I mean, it's pretty flat as is right now, but if this goes lower than 18, lower than 17, just expect the market to just go even flatter. Pretty much just sideways. All right, we got the higher high right there. The thing is, price is pushed up so high that we don't really have market structure up here. I mean, we have support levels, but we don't really have resistance levels. The nearest support level is going to be right here. So, I mean, if anything, this might create a big range. Price comes back down from this point. Possibility. The overall bias here is still very bullish, though. So I personally wouldn't really be looking for any sells. Let's see, Sam over here said 973 sweep is all he can see. Yep. So Sam's sweep level over here lines up with my support level. Sam's looking for price to come down here, bounce off this point, sweep and push back up, which is what I expect to. That's pretty much what I just said, right? We don't really have structure here. The only structure I have is going to be that same level that Sam identified for the sweep. And the sweep's going to be off liquidity, not off the support. So come down right here. bounce off the liquidity, correction back up. All right. So I will continue to look for opportunities. I mean, right now it's not looking like we're going to get too much here, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We got 13 minutes until 8 o'clock, guys. Again, the thing that you want to pay attention to is going to be the ATR down here. Every minute, the ATR is going to move a little bit. So right now, this candle is about to close. We're going from 18 ATR. We'll see if it goes lower or if it goes higher. And it's gone lower. So we're now at 16 ATR. So this is what I just warned you guys about. If the ATR keeps going lower and lower, expect the market to just go sideways. Like, don't even expect it to dip down at all. I just expect it to go back and forth between this area. So we're at 17 ATR. Again, look for the same thing again, right? Look for this here to change. The higher the ATR, the better. The lower the ATR, the worse. Because if it's lower ATR, you're just going to get some sideways movement. And the thing is, you don't really want to trade in sideways market unless you're taking sweeps. Like Sam over here is looking for a sweep at this lower point at 973, but we're so far from it, right? We're about 100 points from it. So not exactly the price point that we're expecting price to push to. It's just too far out. Just way too far out. All right, so market's doing exactly what I just warned you guys about, right? Look at these candles, extremely small candles. ATR is extremely low, 16 ATR. Yeah, it's been super, super slow right here. Let's see, question from Clifford. Clifford is asking, hi Sean, how have Apex been with payouts? I mean, they've been pretty good. I haven't gotten a payout since August, so I didn't request anything since last month, I think. So I haven't done anything this month. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Is there something that you heard been an issue with, Clifford? I've never really had issues with Apex. The only time I got denied is because I violated the rules, and I knew I violated the rules, so I was expecting to get denied. Um, I mean, the thing is, I haven't heard anybody complain about Apex, so I don't think there's any issues with them. But yeah, I haven't gotten a payout since August, so or requested a payout. I mean, right now I've been kind of like cutting back with the trades, so I don't think I'm gonna get a payout for September unless we have a win streak. So if we get a win streak from like now until the end of the month, I might get a payout towards the end of the month. But right now, I'm kind of in a little bit of a hole, not a big hole, but a little bit of a hole. So. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could give you an update in the next couple weeks. Let's see, it's September 11th. We have one, two, three. We got about 2.5 weeks left in September. So hopefully, if we have like say for example, next week, if we just have a bunch of back-to-back wins, then yeah, I'll be able to request a payout this month. Otherwise, this might be one of those months where I might not get a payout or I might not be able to request a payout because the trades this week haven't been so hot, so I need to pull myself out of this hole before I can request another. But the last time I requested, it was perfectly fine. I requested, I think, second week of August, and they approved it within a couple days, and then yeah, payout came out a couple days after that. So yeah, I'm not sure if you heard anything with them being an issue, but they've been pretty solid for me. Unless, of course, I make a mistake. The biggest mistake that I usually make is going to be the consistency rule. And even if that's the case, I just keep trading to the next payout period and they pay out uh, on the next request. Let's see. Clifford said a lot of people have been complaining about Apex. I know five people that were denied. Um, do you know what they were denied for? I've actually heard the opposite. So everyone else that I've seen that have gotten payouts from Apex, I've heard like only good things. Like before, Apex used to require that you send them a video of your trading. They don't really do that anymore. They did that a while back, like earlier in the year, they were requesting that people would take video recordings of their trading to make sure that they were actually trading. But I haven't heard of them doing that in a while. But yeah, do you know the reasoning for their denial? The only thing I can think of is the consistency rule, because that's the only thing that I mess up with sometimes. The reason for that's because my stop loss gets moved in profit every so often. And see, that's the thing with you, RX. So like that's why I would tell you not to do what you just asked earlier, right? Because you asked earlier about messing with your stop loss and profit or moving it up. If you keep doing that, you're gonna violate the consistency rule. So you're just gonna you're probably gonna get denied payouts as well. That's why for me it's either so here are the scenarios with my profit, right? So um profit loss scenario per trade. So if I win, I make about 1,000. If I lose, negative 500. If stop loss and profit, I forgot what the numbers were. So 5 times 5 times 40, 5 times 5 times 10, 250. So this is why I don't really like trigger the consistency rule very much because if I have enough wins and I have enough losses, my consistency is going to be 1,000 win and then 250 profit if my stop loss gets moved in profit, right? So I'm still within the 25% consistency. This is why I have it set up this way. I have it set up this way so I never really get into that violation period. If I get anything below, so what you're trying to do arc is if you tr keep messing with your trades and you don't have consistency with your profits and your losses, like I don't know where you got that number from the negative 600, but if you were to do the negative 600, um, that wouldn't give you 25% consistency. That's why, you can't mess around with your stop loss and profit like that because you can't have like for example, you can't here this is what will violate your consistency. Uh consistency violation if so profit days make 1,000, losing days make a that or lose 1,000, and then break even days or see like this over here this is gonna violate your consistency arc, and this is kind of the situation that you're putting yourself in if you do make that change. Because if you're doing a one-to-one, you'll make 1,000, you'll lose 1,000 on your stop loss and profit days, you're gonna make 100 or less, right? This is gonna violate because you'll have a 10% consistency. This is why you can't. That's why I'm telling you not to do it because if you do it, you're probably gonna get denied payouts. You got to have some sort of consistency. That's why like the numbers that I use, they're very specific. Like, I'm moving my stop loss and profit to 10 points because that keeps me above the consistency. And it's not going to happen a lot. It's going to happen maybe like once in a while. So ARK is asking, so we have to let it hit full TP or stop loss to avoid the consistency violation. Um, you don't have to hit your like full targets. Like you just have to have it in profit enough to not violate the consistency. Um, yeah, because it's gonna count by end of day, like whatever you make or lose for the end of day. So if you're taking like one trade, like for what you're taking, ARK, you're doing like one breakout. You'll probably keep it at about a 50% consistency. And then like if you're just letting it hit profit target and stop loss, you'll have it like closer to like 30 to 50% consistency. But if you keep moving your stop loss and profit, that's going to bring it even lower. Like your stop loss and profit would have to be high enough to keep it above 30%. Like for this right here, when my stop loss gets moved in profit, this maybe happens like once or twice a month. Not a lot, you know, just enough for me to protect my position, but also not violate the rule. Guys, if you're still looking for entries right here, like I said earlier, the ATR is just dropping lower, so there's no entries to take. So don't worry if you guys are not seeing anything. The volatility is really low. Let's see. Clifford said I heard about them coming up with silly rules, but definitely consistency was one of them. Um, I mean, all prop firms have basically the same rules, Clifford. It doesn't matter which one you use. For the most part, they all kind of have the same consistency rule. I think they're all 30%. Some of them have them lower, like 25% or it's usually between like 25 to 30%. So, I mean, it doesn't matter which one you use. The thing with Apex is if you do violate the consistency rule, you just have to pay, you have to trade for another month. And then for that next payout period, you can request it and they usually will give it to you as long as your consistency isn't off again. Clifford said they also put one of my friends on probation and he can no longer buy more accounts because he wins all the time. No, I don't think that's true, Clifford. They do that to everybody. So just because your friend wins doesn't mean that he's getting put on probation. They put everybody on probation once they pass. He probably passed his first eval. Like he probably just passed his first eval pretty recently, but they usually only do that in the beginning. So everybody that I've heard who's had that issue, they've just passed evals recently and they put a pause on buying new accounts because what they're doing is they're evaluating whether your friend is getting lucky or if he's actually good at trading. So they don't want him to buy more accounts because what they're doing is they're pulling data from whatever trades he's doing from there. So like for example, if you get that email, say you got the email today, September 11, right? For a month going on, they're gonna want to make sure that your friend's actually consistent. He's not just randomly getting lucky and passing the accounts and then blowing them right away right after, right? They're looking for the consistency in his trading. So I mean, I don't know what the situation is with your friend, but because if he's profiting all the time, they wouldn't ask him, they wouldn't lock his accounts out. Like, how long has he been training with Apex? They usually only do that if someone's been funded for like a little bit. Like if you pass your eval and maybe you get one or two payouts, then they'll send you that letter. I've seen the letter before. I mean, everyone's gotten it. The thing is, I got funded a long time ago, so I got funded way before they started sending out those letters. So they don't really send it to me because I've been consistent for a couple months or I guess a year. That's weird. So if he's had 20 payouts, he's on a live account then. He should be on a live funded, so that shouldn't have been the case. Are they 20 consistent payouts, Clifford? Because like there's different accounts. You can be on a sim funded or you can be on live funded. I'm like on live funded on a couple of prop firms. Like on Perdia, I'm on live funded. I think I might be on live funded on Apex. I'm not sure, but once you get to the live funded phase, they don't really ask many questions because they already know you're consistent. So I'm not sure if your friends had like, I mean, I don't even know who you're talking about, but The thing is, if he's had 20 straight payouts, that would make no sense for him to get that email. Or so this is what might happen. He might have gotten 20 payouts, and then at that point, now they're trying to move him to live funded. So they only do that when they're trying to move you to a live funded account because the live funded accounts are the ones that they actually copy, right? The sim funded, they don't copy those people yet because they don't think that they're consistent. But if your friend is getting that letter and they've got 20 payouts, then they're probably, they're thinking about moving him to a live funded account. So they're trying to evaluate his trades from now until I guess a month. Usually it's a month period. But then once that month period's done, they let them buy more accounts. They don't just stop you from buying accounts. They're just trying to evaluate whether you're fit to be a live funded trader or if they should keep you in the sim funded or eval phase. Yeah, PC over here, he basically gave an explanation of the 30% rule. Yeah. So PC said the 30% rule means you can't make over 30% of your payout target. Uh, if target is 1,000, you can't make over 300 in a day. If you do, then move targets higher. Yeah, for me, I use fixed targets. That's why I don't really go past that. That's why my consistency is pretty consistent. Like every time I take a trade, I have a fixed target, right? It's 40 points. Or my fixed loss is 20 points. Or my stop loss and profit is 10. That's why my consistency in a longer period of time, it balances out to where it needs to be, right? Because I have to have enough wins for me to even get that payout target. Um, yeah, so here, I'll just do the math again for you guys real quick. So we'll use a 50K account as an example. So basically a 50K account payout target is going to be around like, let's say like 3,000, right? For payout. So, and this is just hypothetically. Um, and this is to, order to request 2,500 because you're basically capped out. You're capped out for the first couple weeks. So if that's the case, every day you can't be making like one day you make 1,000, which is what I usually make, right? I'm making 1,000 to 2,000 because I'm taking one or two trades. Uh, another day you can't make like, 10,000. So that's kind of like this is how you would violate it. Or like you can't be having like huge losses. Like you can't be making or losing this much and then, one day you have another day loss of we'll say like 5,000 or 10,000, something like that. We just got to make the number kind of like extremely wrong, like extremely off. Obviously, this probably wouldn't happen because you'd blow the account, but yeah, you can't be like YOLOing. The reason why they have that rule in is because they don't want people to make huge profits on like get lucky on one day and then it doesn't match what like their consistency is. They want to see people making consistent profits pretty much not every day, but on a consistent basis. So yeah, I mean, to put it into like perspective, it's really just having consistent profits and losses over a month period. Because usually a month period is where you get the payouts, right? So if you screw up for a month, then you just trade again for another month, and then your consistency should balance out if as long as you're trading a consistent strategy. All right, guys, it's 8:06, so we are past the 8 o'clock time. There's no entries here. You can see prices going back and forth. The ATR is down to 15, so there's not really too much going on here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Discord. Otherwise, yeah, today pretty much did the analysis that we covered. So we were expecting price to be bullish today. If you guys sat in on my session prior to market open, I mentioned that we had bullish market structure, we had bullish trend. Unfortunately, there just wasn't very many opportunities here aside from what we are what we were looking for. So All right, guys, that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, I'll be back here, same place, same time tomorrow. Hopefully, the market's going to be directional again like this tomorrow so that we can take another trade. I'm not going to make any adjustments to my strategies just yet. I'm going to keep my TP stop loss at 40.20 for the moment. And then, if the market changes, volatility goes up or volatility goes down, we'll make some adjustments to our TP stop loss. But as of now, I'm going to keep it as is. No need to make any changes right away. If anything, I'll be making my changes on a monthly basis. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live session. So, all right.